feel I ain't stealing, I'm taking. I got a non-dairy creamer in my jeans. I'm happy to see you, if you know what I mean.
Hey freaks, welcome to Vegan Freak Radio, podcasting without pants from home. Here's Bob and Jenna.
Hi Vegan Freakies, it's the 10th of October. It's definitely fall outside right now.
It's chilly.
Yeah, the last week it was 80 degrees and now it's 40.
40.
So,
well, 40 Fahrenheit.
Fahrenheit, correct.
That's right. We have an international listenership.
I'm
we
sorry.
need to be more international.
Yeah, and I wish I could do the conversion in my head, but I can't.
40. What is that, about 10?
Something like that.
I don't know. Hold on. I'm going to look on dashboard.
Okay. Well, while I do that, I'll tell all our listeners, just a reminder that we are going to be in Boston this fall on the 22nd of October at the Boston Vegetarian Food Festival, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, he shoots, he scores. It's 7.
Oh, not bad.
It's just a guess. Sorry.
Well, yeah, living in Spain, I guess, for a year made us learn a little bit about centigrade. So
only I could get so excited about getting something like that, something that stupid right.
Well, all our international listeners will be thankful.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's all right. Just, yeah, so if you're in Boston, come see us.
Yeah, man, come on. Come out and see us. Also, we really need to thank our listener. Damn, I didn't put her name here.
Well, one of these days we'll thank you with the correct name. We've thanked you
anonymously.
Find it right now. He's going to find it. While he finds it, I'm going to mention something else that's coming up in our exciting little lives here.
Do it.
And that is we're going to be doing an interview and being interviewed for a magazine that will so far remain nameless.
Yes, for now.
For now. And we're looking forward to it, so watch out. We'll be having more announcements about that in the near future.
We will indeed. And you know, we really need to be a little more organized for this thing. I can't believe I forgot this.
Yeah, well, us disorganized? What a surprise.
Where is it? I know it. I know it.
Okay, well, while you're looking for that, you found it.
I found it. Ha 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 ha. Yes. The woman's name is Susan Williams.
Okay.
So I want to thank Susan. We want to thank Susan Williams because I think she's the one who put in the original plug for us with the Boston Food Festival folks. And she gave us some really nice recommendations for Chinese restaurants in Chinatown and in Brighton.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah, we're definitely going to go. So we hope you'll come out, Susan. Come out and say hi to us.
Yes, please. We need to thank you in person.
Absolutely. So sorry about all this kind of confusion at the front of the show here.
All right. We also need to thank those of you who donated some money to our podcast.
Absolutely.
We need to thank Patty Ruback, who has a blog, and it's a really cool blog. You should check it out. It's veganruback.blogspot.com, and as always, we'll have links on our podcast page.
And she's got a great picture there of her dog eating some vegetables.
Excellent. The title of her blog is Go Vegetarian. It does everybody good.
It does indeed.
It does.
Absolutely.
And we also need to thank Ken and Lee at Cosmos once again.
Yeah.
They were nice enough to donate some money to us.
Absolutely.
And they've been so incredibly wonderful doing that interview last week. It was so cool to have them on. And so everybody go out and order something from them because they've got great stuff and they're incredibly fast. I think I mentioned somewhere on the forums or something that I ordered something Sunday morning and got it Tuesday.
Damn, that is quick.
It's quick.
That is really quick. So thanks for the donations. If you want to donate, we have some things in mind. All the donations go directly towards expenses for the podcast. So we use it for bandwidth stuff. We use it for any kind of incidentals that we might need in terms of equipment. And we really appreciate it because it helps us make this pretty affordable. So if you send us $5, we'll send you a button. Yeah. And if you send us 20 or more, we got a special little surprise. Yeah. 2 little special surprises. Yeah? Yeah, we were thinking that as an incentive for people that send in money, including people in the past who send it, we'll do this retroactively, that if you send us 20 or more, we'll send you a CD with a copy of all of our shows on it. And then we're going to do a special donator show that we'll send out just to the donators. Cool. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea.
So that's what we're going to do. Also, if you're interested, I did a podcast way back in November of 2004, right when podcasting was just kind of getting off the ground, and it was called This Un-American Life. And the podcast was about an hour long, and I only did one, and I don't know why, because people liked it, and it got a lot of traffic, but I only did one because I ran out of time. But I'm not saying that podcast is necessarily very good, but you might find it interesting. So for donators, I'll give you a copy of that somewhere too. Okay, so there you go.
All right.
And now we'll stop begging.
Yes, we will. But we have more thank yous, of course. We need to thank the people who wrote wonderful reviews for us at Amazon.com. We need to thank Maria Sokor. I'm hoping I say that right.
Yeah,
I don't know. You'll have to correct us if I'm not. And Annalisa.
Absolutely. Those reviews are amazing. Thank you so much. They help. They really cranked up our review ranking. And after that last review we got where I was called a pompous jackass. I assume it was me.
Yeah, because she thought apparently only you wrote the book.
Yeah, and you're not a pompous jackass. You're really not.
Oh, well, thank you.
I am, though.
Yeah.
You're not, I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cool. So what up?
Okay. So it's fall.
It's fall.
And so now that it's not killer hot anymore, we've been making fall dishes. We've actually been cooking more, making some soups. Mm-hmm. Actually, you made an excellent soup on Friday night when it was both raining and cold.
Yeah, we were fortunate enough to get an advance copy of Isa Chandra Moskowitz's forthcoming cookbook called Vegan with a Vengeance. And I had this desire for matzo ball soup. So I made matzo ball soup on Friday night.
It was delicious.
Hey, thanks. But you should really thank Isa.
Yes.
It's her recipe. And the matzo balls were amazing. I made them a little too big, I think.
No, I think they're supposed to be that size.
They're pretty big, though. We'll put a picture up on the podcast page, podcast.veganfreak.com, and you can see the matzo ball soup itself. So I made some matzo ball soup, and it turned out really well. And Isa's recipe is kick-ass. I mean, she does the matzo balls, no eggs, no egg replacer. It is completely kick-ass. And she says in the intro of the recipe that it took her a long time to do it, but she got it down. And I want to tell you, Isa, if you're listening, even though I know you don't, I know our feelings are hurt. You don't listen, but that's okay. We can live. Yeah, so you did a nice job because they came out perfectly.
Yeah, they came out really light, and it just really hit the spot.
Yeah, it kicked ass. So you should give it a shot when the book comes out.
Yep.
And you should definitely go get your hands on that book. I think we made a quote for that book, some promotional material saying that it was. What did we say about it?
I think we said it was kick-ass.
It is kick-ass. So. It is a kick-ass cookbook. There's no question about it. So there you go. But what else did we do this weekend? We did a lot. I made some vegetable soup too. Yeah,
we made a clean out the fridge vegetable soup.
Yeah, I kicked ass too.
Yeah, we just basically threw in a pot of water and we threw in just about everything we could find in the refrigerator that would go into soup. So it was cabbage, green beans, potatoes,
everything,
zucchini, tomatoes, onions. A couple other things.
I can't eat any more bloody soup though.
No, I think we're souped out for now.
Yeah, if I see soup again, I'm just gonna die because I eat soup for lunch and I eat leftovers and I'm just like, no more soup, no soup. Sorry. Whew. Also, I made a really dumb mistake this weekend.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Yeah, the look on your face was priceless.
So, okay, so check this out. Our peanut butter, we've got like the hippie peanut butter, like the fresh ground stuff, because we buy it from the co-op, and grind it up and all that. And it's in this little tub, and we've got cashew butter, we've got almond butter, we've got peanut butter, and we've got tahini. And they're all in the same tubs. And I reach into the fridge, I'm in a hurry, I just want to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. So I reach into the fridge, and I pull out the tahini, and I pull out the jelly. And I put the bread down, and I start making myself a tahini and jelly sandwich, but thinking that the tahini is peanut butter. So I'm spreading this gooey tahini all over my bread. I'm like...
Pretty thick, too.
I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with the peanut butter? I'm like, this peanut butter is really runny this time. I figured, I don't know why. I just, what the hell, So I'm in a hurry, and I'm thinking, whatever. So I put it together, and then I take a bite. And maybe you could describe my face. I can only imagine what it looked like.
Yeah, your mouth was sort of hanging open. You just had this look of disgust on your face. It was hilarious.
So for the record, I got to tell you, tahini and jelly does not work, okay? It's really nasty. But yeah. I finished it.
You must have been really hungry.
Well, I didn't want to waste it. And I didn't want to give it to the dog.
Yeah, that would have made his tongue stick to the roof of his mouth for sure.
And I put a lot of tahini on there, so I don't want to waste it.
Yeah, so someone on our forums was looking for some uses for tahini, and that's not one of them.
No, that's really not one of the uses for tahini. That sucked. It was really bad. So that was our weekend of cooking. Some good things, some bad things. But also, in addition to cooking, we kind of like hang out. We do work. We pretend like we should be cleaning up all the dog hair off the floor.
But we don't.
No, we usually don't. We're kind of lazy about that. And this is our kind of dirty little secret that we're going to share with the thousands of people. And, I'm surprised that thousands of people listen, but thousands do.
Wow.
This is our dirty little secret, is that we watch Star Trek.
Yeah. So. not just all, one Star Trek, but we've watched just about every episode of every Star Trek that's come out lately.
Yeah.
It's kind of pathetic.
So we're working our way through the Enterprise discs now.
Yeah.
And we heard this great, I don't know, maybe you're not a Star Trek nerd or whatever, but there's this great, on Enterprise, what's her name? T'Pol. T'Pol is a, what do you
Vulcan.
call it? Vulcan. Yeah. I killed too many brain cells in college or something. So T'Pol is a Vulcan, and Vulcans don't, as we talked about on one of the first couple podcasts, Vulcans don't eat meat or animal products.
Nope, they're vegetarians.
So there's this funny little clip that we heard when we were watching the show yesterday, and we're going to let that roll for you. And here it is.
Welcome to Burgerland. How may I serve you today?
I'll have a double super beef, no lettuce.
One double super beef without lettuce, please.
You can make that a triple for only 40 cents extra.
Do it.
A double will be fine.
Would you like to make that a combo?
Yeah, fries and a medium root beer.
Will there be anything else today?
A hamburger, ketchup only?
You can make that a double for only 40 cents extra.
No, thank you.
Would you like to make that a combo?
No combo.
Will there be anything else today?
Does the Fiesta salad contain animal products?
No, but we can add 3 strips of bacon for only 75 cents more.
Nothing for me, thank you.
Sure.
Quite.
So poor T'Pol, just to set up the scene a little bit there, that T'Pol and Archer, who's the voice you hear the clearest in there, Captain Archer, are 150 years in the past in the year 2004. And they're with this guy, and this guy's really hungry, so he wants to go to this drive-thru. So they're at this awkward situation at the drive-thru that they've never been in before. And poor T'Pol, still in 2004, cannot find any vegetarian things at the drive-thru.
Yeah. So there you go. I thought that was kind of funny. We were watching that last night. And then the look of disgust on her face was really priceless. I should probably take a screen grab of it and show you.
Yeah,
That's probably the best thing to do.
It was funny. I love how she was like, quite at the end.
Yeah, quite sure.
Yeah, but it's just funny because it's a situation I think we've all been in. You know, does this have animal products in it? And the woman's like, no, you can add bacon for 75 cents.
Yeah. So, yeah, we thought we'd play that for you. That's how pathetic our life is, though. We sit around and watch Star Trek.
But we're nerds and we're proud.
Yeah, we are. We're geeks. I don't know, though. We're geeks, but we're not like geek.
No.
Geek.
But we do geeky things. How's that?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we don't go out and party hard or anything. Not anymore.
No.
I don't know. We're getting old.
Well, whatever. We're just nerds. You know what we need?
What do we need?
We need one of those soundboards like they have for real radio shows.
Woo! We can play little sounds.
Little sounds. We need one that has like the guy from Revenge of the Nerds going, nerds.
No, you tell me. I could have done that.
Sorry. It just occurred to me.
Well, come on. I could have done that. I could actually Google for that sound, probably find it by the time,
Okay, so if it gets added in later, that's why.
Maybe I'll add that in.
Okay.
Nerds. Actually, I could kind of do it.
Yeah, there you go.
Nerds. Okay.
All right, but enough about Star Trek.
Yeah, and about Revenge of the Nerds.
All right. But now we're going to comment about an email that someone sent us.
Yeah, they sent this to us a long time ago. And speaking of email, if you send us email and we don't get back to you for a while, it's because we've got a backlog of email. And we do aim to respond to every email. If you don't hear from us and you want to hear from us, drop us a line after a week or two. But we try really hard to respond to everybody, and we try to make the response real personal. So that's kind of where we're at. So if you're wondering why you haven't heard from us, give us a little bit of time. We'll get there. But we got this email from a listener, and his name is Steve. So I think what I should do is probably just read the email. You think that's the best thing to do?
Yeah, sure.
It's kind of a long email, but I'll read it anyway. And I should warn you in advance, I have reading problems.
You're a PhD and a college professor and you have reading problems?
Reading out loud kills me. And I teach this class on theory, and I try to read sections of Karl Marx out in class, and I stumble over it. And then we were on Eric Marcus's show that time, and I tried to read a passage from my own book, and I was like a robot on meth or something, this very kind of structured, very brusque, very fast, robot meth. And so I can't read. So if this sounds like complete crap, that's the way life is. Tough. You'll deal with it, right?
Sure.
Okay. So this is from Steve. Steve writes, first I want to let you know that I really enjoy your podcast, Both of you have wonderful radio quality voices. That's really nice of him to say. Thank you. He's just trying to butter us up, I think. There's no way we have radio quality voices.
I hate my voice, but whatever.
When I was in high school, I was in this like little intern program thing where we went to a news radio and learned how to talk in radio voices. So
yes, you have to do it from deep down, right?
Supposedly you have to sit straight up and then articulate from a different place in your chest. And this is my radio voice, so perhaps I'll read with my radio voice.
There you go.
Okay, both of you have wonderful radio voices, and I like the freedom and earnestness with which you speak to your audience. Hey, cool. Second, I want to apologize for the lack of conciseness in what follows. I don't eat meat or eggs or dairy, don't wear leather or wool, don't use soap or cleaning products or personal hygiene products derived from or tested on animals, don't support circuses or hunting or any other entertainment which harms animals. I just don't see the point of hurting animals to satisfy mere personal tastes, when in fact it is possible to live a healthy and fulfilled life without such cruelty. What do you think of that?
Makes sense to me.
Sounds good to me. Okay, and here comes the kicker. However, I am reluctant to think of myself as a vegan because I am a scientist who engages in biomedical research which involves killing rodents. My question/comment, how do you feel about biomedical research which harms animals? Right away, I exclude so-called product testing of cosmetics and household products, which is, in my view, pointlessly cruel and unnecessary. I also oppose research which harms apes, cetaceans, and other organisms with human-like self-awareness. But what about, say, immunology research using mice? As someone who intimately understands the scientific process, I simply cannot agree with the claims by some vegan activists that 1. Animal research is irrelevant to human welfare, and 2. Cruelty-free alternatives are available which do not invoke killing humans en masse. These claims simply are not true. As I see it, our ethical conundrum is the following. Either completely disavow animal research on principle and accept a retardation of scientific discovery, or willingly kill hundreds of thousands of animals every year for the sake of curing mostly preventable diseases and extending human lifespan by a few decades. I know that some vegans believe that it is better to forego the benefits of biomedical research on animals because it is simply wrong to harm animals in this way, just as it is wrong to kill one person to save another person's life. But let me be perfectly clear. In all likelihood, without research which harms animals, the development of a working HIV vaccine will be postponed by decades, if not forever. I am sitting on the fence as to whether it is justified to kill 100,000 animals to achieve this benefit to humans. What do you guys think?
That's an amazingly tough question.
It is a tough question. I mean, this is a really loaded issue, right?
Yeah.
I put this out there because I want to know what most of our listeners think of this.
Yeah, we do want to get a lot of different comments and a lot of points of view on this because there's a lot of things that might not even occur to us as to arguments.
Yeah, I mean, my initial reaction, my gut level reaction is generally in opposition to vivisection. And my opposition to it largely comes from this question of a slippery slope. I mean, what makes it okay, for example, to test on a mouse, but not to test on a primate or on a human? Now, granted, there's a question of self-awareness that this listener introduces, but I think that, I don't know, I've got some problems with the whole concept that animals are basically ours to exploit, even mice and rats. Yeah,
I agree. And you wonder if mice and rats are okay just because they're small. You know, I mean, apes, okay, well, they might be a little bit more intelligent in terms of some things, but mice and rats are very intelligent animals as well. They figure out puzzles and solve problems. And why is it okay to test on them and not on other kinds of animals like apes? I think that if you're going to not test on animals, you should not test on all animals and find different ways. And I know that the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine is always bringing up new ways and better ways of finding cures for diseases and figuring out the cures for these diseases. So, I mean, I think that part of the problem is maybe we need to reconceptualize what it is to create new ways of getting rid of disease.
That's a really good point. I mean, I also think there's a question there that needs to be considered of what is it that qualitatively makes the suffering of animals different from the suffering of humans? I mean, any kinds of responses that you tend to get when you break that out tend to be very, and I don't mean to offend the person who wrote to us, but they tend to be very speciesist, which is to say that they tend to assume that somehow because the creature is small and not human, that their suffering is okay or justifiable. I think when we get into these utilitarian questions of whether or not it's okay to kill X number of animals for X number of human lives saved, we get into very dangerous territory because the question is, would it be okay to kill 400 babies to save that many people? I don't know. And the reason that I ask this question is because babies, in some ways, are irrational creatures. And often the reason that we justify using animals in research is because they lack rationality. But there are plenty of humans that lack rationality, yet we don't use them in research. So that's my main concern, is that it represents a problem, for me, a philosophical and moral problem. But I haven't really thought through this question very, very carefully, although I would say that personally I'm quite opposed to vivisection.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It just bothers me. Like you said, I wouldn't want, people tested on without their approval. And so I wouldn't want other animals tested on without their approval. They can't consent to this thing.
Yep.
And so.
But the other thing is that a significant number of animals that are used for vivisection or in vivisection aren't used for groundbreaking, curing cancer, AIDS, that kind of stuff. I mean, there are animals used for that, but the vast majority of animals that are used tend to be used for things that I think have fairly obvious outcomes. And if you look at, I don't mean to pick on psychologists, but if you look at psychology as a discipline, that discipline uses tons and tons of animals. It uses them in experiments, and it uses them in experiments that I personally don't think are all that vital. And I think Peter Singer plays this out very clearly in Animal Liberation, even though that book has some problems with utilitarian logic as well. So I think that's one place where you can see a lot of abuse, at least in the United States, is in psychology departments in animals. So I think we get into the situation where we imagine that every use of animals is kind of like an emergency use, but most of the uses of animals in vivisection aren't emergency uses. They aren't the marginal borderline cases,
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's a tough question. And the email is really interesting. I mean, I never thought about someone who, is vegan otherwise, and then, it does experiments on animals. And I really appreciate Steve for sending this into us.
Yeah, I do too. I don't want Steve to think I'm being critical of him, but you asked. So I would encourage people to write back and to give us some feedback on this. Send us a voicemail or send us an email, and we'll be happy to read it on the air. But please, we have to ask. I know some people feel very strongly about this, but I think it's important that we try to remain respectful and rational and kind of nice. I mean, there's always this temptation to be kind of nasty when people are doing things that we find very offensive.
But to argue, the case on an intellectual level, just as an interesting situation.
Well, I mean, as a vital situation.
Yeah.
So we got to get this dog off of your lap.
Hi, puppy.
All right, the dog is getting in the way now.
The dog wants to be part of the podcast. He's trying to eat the microphone.
Hit the microphone. Yeah. Jenna now has an 80-pound dog pretty much on her lap.
Yeah, he thinks he's a lap dog. And we're not paying attention to him, so he's got to be... insert himself into the situation here. So
anyway, we would really like to hear from people how they feel about this and how they feel about the logic of this and where they stand. All right, so also on this whole question of animal stuff, didn't you have a point today that we heard on NPR? We're listening to NPR today.
I know. We hardly ever listen to NPR anymore because it makes us angry.
Yeah, man.
Because they're just wishy-washy. Anyway.
Wishy-washy liberals.
Yeah. And a little bit too conservative for our taste, actually. So... but anyway, we were listening to NPR because there was nothing else on the radio this morning. And we heard a report on... we're still fighting with the dog here.
I'm going to get him out of the way. You talk.
Okay. We're still... okay, there we go. Dog off. Sorry about that, everyone. Anyway, we heard this report on designer eggs. Now, these are eggs that they laser etch with different information depending on what the eggs are like. These are eggs that you can either do with the expiration date, which is, I guess, useful if you want to eat eggs, or you can etch them with the fact that where the farm that they came from and whether they're organic or supposedly quote-unquote free-range. So all these people, apparently in the report also said in blue states, people tend to favor the organic free-range, that this is what they want. And in the red states, they just want to know when they're going to expire.
Or how they can trace them if there's a bioterror attack.
Yeah. So all of this just made me laugh and just shook my head because it was kind of, for one thing, it was amazing that, rather than I don't know. It's just amazing to me that they were talking about this laser etching eggs, and that so many people were like, yes, we want free range, we want all this great stuff, and it's such a farce.
It can really be a farce, and they were paying a lot of extra money for these laser etched eggs as well, and they could be traced directly back to the particular farm they're grown on.
Yeah, and I got a great way to prevent salmonella. Don't eat eggs.
That's pretty easy, huh?
Yeah. I mean, that's just one problem with eggs, and we could go on for days and days about the rest of the problems with eggs. But I also found it funny that this is in the same newscast. In a couple reports earlier, they were talking about the avian flu. And of course, no one ever makes the connection in these reports on the potential, pandemic of the avian flu spreading to humans and then from humans to humans, that one way to avoid this is not to raise chickens for meat or eggs in intensive situations, or not to raise them at all, period. So it just amazes me that all these reports and no one's making this connection. Bob's feeding the dog Listerine strips.
He wanted one. I feel like I needed one to freshen my breath.
Okay, whatever.
Well, I don't want to kill you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
We're sharing a mic,
Yeah.
We get a pretty low-tech setup here.
But how about your comments on the avian flu?
Yeah, okay, on the avian flu. I thought those were your comments. Okay, the avian flu. I mean, what I think is that there are these things in sociology that we talk about in technological systems that are called normal accidents, which are to say when systems become so big and so complex that that complexity can, in turn, produce real problems. And so the avian flu would be one of those kinds of accidents that would come out of what we have essentially done with the egg industry and the poultry production industry when we start to treat animals simply as profit, simply as these things that we need to treat as inputs in a large-scale production process. So, sorry, the dog's licking me. We really need to do something with the dog when we're doing this because he gets in the way. But the point is, to get away from the dog question here, when we begin to treat animals simply as profit or as another step in production, and we forget about the fact that they are beings that have needs and that they're creatures that need respect, that's when we're going to start to run into these kinds of problems. And we've seen these problems in other animal agriculture industries. This is bovine spongiform encephalopathy and or mad cow. Mm-hmm. The foot and mouth. Yeah. Is part of that issue as well. All these things kind of stem from intensive confinement and the practices that are used to produce the food that we eat. So my point is that the avian flu is something that is a natural outcome of that. By confining these birds so intensely, by dosing them up with antibiotics so intensely, we create these kinds of problems for ourselves. And that I think the simple solution is to move away from this kind of production.
Of course, and it's really disgusting. The things I was reading in the New York Times lately are that now they have to kill millions and millions of birds because they're infected or they potentially get infected with this flu. And it's really disgusting the way they talk about them, about culling these birds and about just destroying them. And it totally misses the point that these are birds, these are beings, and that we're doing horrendous things to them, and that if we stopped doing these horrendous things to them, we would stop doing horrendous things to ourselves.
Absolutely, but that's the thing is that we don't realize that we're shitting where we eat.
Yep. And what's really annoying to me, frustrates me to no end, is that, with mad cow, if you don't eat the cow, then you don't get mad cow.
Right.
But with this, we could still get the bird flu even though we don't eat birds.
Absolutely.
Or eggs. And it's just really frustrating because we see the situation, we recognize the situation, and we can't do anything about it.
Yeah, we're pretty much stuck. I mean, judging by what Bush was saying the other day, I mean, I don't know if any of you heard, he came out and said that the government might have to shut down or quarantine entire areas of the United States and use the military to do this. Now, I'm sure that made people a little crazy to hear that. I heard that and I thought, man, they know the avian flu's coming if they're saying things like that.
Yeah, it's really scary.
So I think the avian flu is probably right around the corner, I would guess.
Yeah, supposedly it hasn't passed from human to human yet, but...
Well, I don't know. I
don't believe that necessarily. But
and another one just broke out. Was it in Turkey?
Europe, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere.
Romania and Turkey.
Romania and Turkey. So, yeah, I think that this is just another symptom of what's wrong with our animal agriculture and why we need to fix it and why we need to stop treating animals like inputs in some production process because they're more than inputs. They're actual beings.
You said it.
And I think that's a good way to move into our song.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah. Song, lighten the mood a little bit here.
Yeah. So this is from Flame Still Burns, and it's along the same lines of stuff we're talking about. Flame Still Burns and Ken recommended this one too. This is like a dual recommendation from both of them. And Flame was nice enough to send this to me, and he included the lyrics for it, which were cool. And in the email, he said his wife was giving him shit for not capitalizing well enough. And you know what? I don't care. Do you care?
No, I don't care.
Actually, I like uncapitalized. It's better than everything being capitalized. Have you ever got an email in which when someone's screaming at you?
Yeah.
Oh my God! So we're going to let this roll. This is Gorilla Biscuits, and the song is called Cats and Dogs, and it's got some kick-ass lines in it, so make sure you listen to the lyrics. Here it is.
Get all the same, we make up the names and our love for them is real. Listen up, I gotta ask you, how can we be so cruel? Say you care, that's a lie. My true compassion is for all living things, and not just the ones that aren't cute, so I'll do what I can. I wanna save lives, and I've got a plan. Under the table, only to dinner like the values we can't stand. What kind of meal would he make? We don't wanna ask it. Condition is all that keeps them alive. Listen up, I gotta ask it. How can we be so cruel? Say you care, that's a lie. My true compassion is for all living things, and not just the ones that are cute, so I do what I can. I wanna save lives, and I've got a plan. Why am I so unsafe? Don't even know the bit. I'm trying to press my will. I'm not the first to say no, not true. It's all we wanna feel. We need to stay alive, but instead alive we steal. I think we'd like to change, but most of us are stuck. But cats and dogs have all the luck.
Okay, so that was Gorilla Biscuits, Cat and Dogs. It has some great lines in it. I mean, I think what this song really does well is show, like, we always put our cats and dogs up as royalty and all this other stuff, and they're lucky enough to not be eaten, but cats and dogs still get a really short end of the stick in so many ways, you know?
Yep.
But what I like about the song is it kind of highlights that, and it highlights how, you know, the song comes around and says, "Thou shalt not kill." And it draws these connections between pets and meat, you know, the connections that we're always hesitant to make. Or most people are hesitant to make.
Yeah, I think it's really funny too. He's talking about compassion, and he's doing it in the punk voice. Compassion. It's not something you don't normally associate with compassion, but it's funny.
Hardcore can be compassionate.
I know it can be, and it can be very much compassionate. It's just really funny.
So thanks to Flame Still Burns and to Ken for recommending that. If you have music recommendations, make sure you get them to us. We will try to play whatever you recommend. We try to get it all on the show. So that was a good song, and we especially like the hardcore and punkish recommendations, yeah?
Yeah, but we'll play other things too.
Oh, absolutely. We play anything pretty much. Pretty much.
I
mean, I really wouldn't be into, like, you know, some tie-dyed, folksy bullshit. I don't know if I could play much of that.
True.
You know, like, animals don't eat animals. I don't think I could play that.
It's not us.
It's really not us.
Other people can play that stuff.
Yeah, other people should play that stuff. But, you know, the kind of hippie stuff, man, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. It's all good, you know. Nothing against hippies. Nothing against hippies at all. Stinky hippies. No, anyway, let's move on. So where are we now? Yeah, okay. So I read this article in Impact Press. And Impact Press, if you don't know about it, it's actually a pretty cool little magazine. I think you pick it up free in some neighborhoods and cities around the country. Of course, since there are no neighborhoods where we live, I can't pick it up for free. Well, there are neighborhoods, they just would never have anything like this in them, right? So Impact Press is, it's called, I don't know, it's like this magazine that has some cool kind of lefty, radical type stuff in it. It's pretty good. I think we'll end up advertising in here very soon. So, but in this is an article by Stephen Best, who is a professor, I think, at one of the Texas universities, I can't remember which. But he raises this question where he says he gets all the time because he goes around and talks about this stuff. And the question is that, you know, if there were a burning building and you had the choice between saving only one, you can only take one person or one thing out of that building, right? one creature out of that building. And one room had your dog in it, and the other room had a human stranger in it. Who would you pick?
Right. The key being your dog or a stranger.
That's
a
right.
Human stranger.
So Stephen Best, when he was asked that question, said he would save his dog over a human stranger. And no offense to any of the listeners out there, I love you all, but I'd pick my dog too.
I think I would too. I mean, our dog is a member of our family.
Yep. And he talks about how this question is used to make animal rights activists look like either like they're hypocrites, because if you say you're going to save the person, then you immediately get critiqued as a speciesist, right? But if you say you're going to save the dog, they immediately critique you as someone that hates humans. But he goes through this article very carefully and argues that, in fact, look, most people, even people who don't care about animal rights, will probably pick their dog because their dogs and their cats are members of their family. So that's a really good article. And I think what the article does is it also talks about how it's a situational question, that if you ran into a burning building and you had a choice between your child or another anonymous child, you'd probably pick your child. Or if you had a choice between someone in your family and some other anonymous person, you might choose the person in your family. The point of this is to show that, in fact, ethics can be very situational. And I think that's what's cool about this article. So you should check it out. I think there's a version of it online that I'm going to find and post the links to. But it's cool because it says that it's about ethical dilemmas and the hierarchy of moral value. I think it's a really good article to read because this is the kind of stuff that we often get hit with. People who are into animal rights, we get hit with these kinds of questions all the time. And I think that the way that he deals with this, really, he digs into a lot of basic animal liberation questions, and it's excellent. So, and he kind of knocks down a bunch of straw men in the article, so I really want to recommend that. But I think the other thing is that one other thing I want to mention quickly before we move on is that having taught classes on this stuff, I find that often we get caught in these weird situations. Vegans and animal rights people, animal liberationists, we get caught in these situations where every interaction between humans and animals is presumed to be some kind of emergency.
Yes, or some very extreme situation. Like, right. I think we mentioned one on a podcast, a couple of podcasts back, about someone asked the question, if you were stuck on a desert island and there were cooked chickens raining down from the sky, would you eat them? These things that are obviously never going to happen. Absolutely not.
So I think what I'm getting at here is that essentially when we get into these when we're challenged like this, people are kind of looking for the marginal examples and things like that. And what I think we need to remember is, or to remind people of, is that, look, even if you can find some marginal example where you think you might be right, every single day in every single house, well, not every single house, but in many of the homes in the United States, animals are being consumed. And this is a clear-cut case of in fact, animal exploitation. We don't need to find any marginal examples. No one needs animal flesh to live, right? And so why worry about these marginal hypotheticals when, in fact, every day we've got a really simple one right on our plates usually? That's the easiest thing to think of, and I think people want to get away from that. So my advice is that, if you're in one of these situations, it's really important to recognize that we have this stuff going on every single day, and we need to remember that and remind people of that. So rather than getting caught up in these hypotheticals, rather than getting caught up in whether plants have feelings, how often do we get that one? That's weak.
Yeah.
Get that a lot.
Yeah.
How do you know plants don't have feelings? Because if I stick a hot poker in a plant, it doesn't scream. If I stick a hot poker in you scream. And if I stick a hot poker in a pig, it screams.
Yep.
So this is how you know plants don't have feelings.
Yeah, but you're totally right. They are just trying to get away from the real issue that they don't want to deal with.
Absolutely. So anyway, this Stephen Best article is really good, and I'll find a link to it. And I think it was linked on Animal Writings several months ago, but I'll find another one as well. And I just wanted to kind of introduce some of that stuff. So there you go. If you have any thoughts on this, let us know.
Yeah.
As always, voicemail, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And speaking of voicemail, we have voicemails.
Voicemail!
Yay! We need a little voicemail song.
We do need a little...
Anybody out there want to make us a little voicemail song?
Hey, Veghead, can you write us a voicemail song?
So something real quick.
Like 5 seconds, 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds voicemail song. What do you think?
Yeah. Our dog's on my lap again. Anyway.
All right, so
this one's from Ryan from Vegblog, the first one.
Yeah, so we're going to let that roll. He's got a comment that a follow-up from last week's show. So here it is.
What's up, vegan freaks? This is Ryan from the Vegblog. I just wanted to call in after hearing your most recent podcast, and I guess I could have done this through email, but since y'all was getting so beggy for voicemails, I figured I had to call in and leave you a voicemail instead. Anyway, you all, when you were interviewing the folks from Cosmos, you made a joke about breatharians. And I'm not sure if this has been covered before, if you guys knew this, but there actually is a group of people called the breatharians. And this group of people actually believes that you can live on sunlight and air alone and no food and only like a couple sips of water every few weeks or something like that. It's pretty crazy. And what's really funny and seemingly obvious to those of us that realize this is totally absurd is that some of the practitioners, there was a story of one guy who gave a big talk about how you didn't need food, you didn't need water, you could just live on air and sun alone. He gave a big talk on this, and then hidden cameras caught him after the talk gorging on Big Macs in a back room. So I wrote a little bit about it, do a little self-plug here. If you go to dailyping.com and do a search on breatharians, there's a little thing I wrote there a couple of years ago about it, and it's pretty funny. So check it out. And keep up the good work with the podcast. Y'all kick ass. Peace.
So, breatharians, huh?
Yeah, I had no idea there was such a thing when we were joking about it last week.
Yeah, I'm going to post the Wikipedia entry for breatharian underneath on the show notes for the podcast. It's pretty interesting to read. You almost wonder how people can believe this shit, but whatever. Teach his or her own.
Yeah.
As you wish.
Yeah.
Hey, man, you want to live as a breatharian, you aren't doing anybody any harm.
True.
Except yourself.
Except yourself, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, if you really want to take things to an extreme, there you go.
It's fine with me. Whatever, man. Yeah. Whatever works for you.
Yeah. So thank you, Ryan, for pointing that out, because we had no idea.
And Ryan mentioned something he could have done. We are getting beggy for voicemails, because regular email, send us a voicemail. We can play it on the show. It fills some time. We get a little bit of mix-up on the show, You don't have to listen to us the whole time. So the point is, send us voicemail. Call us.
Yeah.
Don't send us email. Well, you could.
You can send us email, too.
You can send us email.
Some people don't feel comfortable being on the show.
Why not? We're nice people.
I know, but some people are shy.
Yeah, I know. Okay. So the next voicemail, go ahead. You introduce it.
Okay, this one's from Maria. The same Maria who wrote us a really lovely review on Amazon. Mm-hmm. And she's going to talk about an experience she had with our podcast last week.
So here it is.
Hey, Bob and Jenna. This is Maria from Nashville, Tennessee, one of your faithful listeners, and I wanted to tell you about an experience that I had listening to your podcast yesterday while I was driving to school. I was in that happy vegan place, listening to your podcast, just kind of pretending for just an hour that, the way that I live is normal, and not feeling like a freak for just a short period of time, and just driving down the street in that happy little place. And all of a sudden realized that there was a cattle transport truck in front of me. When I went to pull around the truck to pass it, I just had this feeling of dread, because looking in the eyes of animals that are about to die just disturbs me on a level that's deeper than seeing it in a video or reading about what happens in slaughterhouses. It's worse for me. But I had to look over and, acknowledge the animals in the truck and face them. So I peeked over just for a second and was shocked to see that there was no one, nothing, no animals in the truck at all. It was empty. And I just had this fleeting vision of a future when all cattle transport trucks and all slaughterhouses could be empty. And it was just a kind of a hopeful thought, even though the animals that were in the truck are probably at the slaughterhouse dead. But anyway, I thought about it afterwards, and it didn't seem quite so hopeful, but the original feeling that I had was one of hope for the future. So I just wanted to tell you about that, and I think that your podcast and your show is great. Keep up the good work, and talk to you later.
So this is actually this is a great voicemail, because it reminds me a lot of what Tom Reagan comes up with in his book Empty Cages. He says he doesn't want bigger cages, he wants empty cages. And in a similar way to that, Maria's looking forward to a day when we have empty tractor trailers.
Yep. And not just empty after having taken the animals to slaughter. Empty period. Empty period,
indeed. So here's hoping that her world and the world that she wishes for does in fact come true. But I think with people out there, oh no, I see a cat and dog fight coming, because they're having a stare down. The cat's hissing at the dog. It's getting bad. Anyway, here's hoping that actually does happen at some point. Uh-oh. We really need to do something with
our animals are getting out of control.
Well, the problem is that they're... Oh! The problem is that they're hungry.
Yeah, we haven't fed them.
We haven't fed them yet, and they're getting antsy, and the cat's chasing the dog. It's just a mess.
Yes, our 20-pound cat controls the dog.
Totally owns the dog.
The dog is 80 pounds, and the dog is scared to death of the cat.
Oh, he totally owns the dog. Totally. Anyway. Yeah, so here's hoping for a day when all those cages are in fact empty.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm so...
distracted.
I'm completely distracted.
I know. But I also want to thank Maria for pointing out, too, that the space to feel normal, and that's what we kind of hope to achieve here on Vegan Freaks, is
Absolutely.
that you can feel normal at least for an hour a week.
We try to help you make... Because we're so abnormal, you've got to feel normal listening to us.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we're completely nuts. So, yeah, this is good. That's what we're after, and that's what our forums are about. That's what everything we do is about, is trying to create a space for folks like who are vegan and want to be vegan, want to stay vegan. Right? Right. Good. So what else? We had other stuff, too. There was something else I wanted to talk about with regard to that.
I don't know.
Oh, well, go ahead.
Oh, but we also got a few comments on our podcast page that I think we're going to respond to quickly.
Okay. Let's see. We've got one here from someone named Mary Sue. And Mary Sue says, "Hi, Bob and Jenna. I enjoy your podcast. Although I have to admit, I'm probably more like your Aunt Linda than Ken's. The cursing is sometimes over the top and makes it hard to listen to your podcast over the radio at the office." You know, let me just add something very quickly here. A lot of people listen to podcasts at work. And I'm wondering if, maybe that's why American productivity is so low. I'm just kidding. Actually, American productivity is quite high per capita.
Yeah, I know. It's because they're trying to squeeze every last drop out of us.
Yep. But as for the cursing, Mary Sue, I'm really sorry. I mean, we've talked about it before in other podcasts. I don't see us getting rid of the cursing. So, and do you really want to listen to us over the speakers, where other people can hear us?
Yeah,
at work?
Headphones.
Headphones are the solution. I'm telling you, because if people around you hear you listening to us, they're immediately going to think you're at least as weird as we are. So be careful.
Yeah.
She also says, another broadcast idea, do you care to comment on the book Dominion by Matthew Scully and the subsequent article in Newsweek by George Will? What do you think about rectifying conservatism and veganism? I get a lot of stares for the Go Vegan and WO4 stickers on my car. Keep up the great work, Mary Sue. Well, we're probably not the folks to comment on conservatism and veganism because we're pretty much the furthest you can get from conservatives.
Yeah, so we'll leave that up to someone else to talk about.
Perhaps someone else can talk about that because that's really not our bag. Dominion, I haven't read the book for a variety of reasons. I've read pretty much every book that I get my hands on when it comes to animal liberation issues, but Dominion, it just didn't seem to interest me very much.
Yeah, actually, I can point you to a couple blogs who have read it and have commented on it. Actually, Girl Least Likely To and Vegan Chai just wrote a review on it this weekend.
There you go.
So go look at her blog. Or I think you could probably find it in Animal Writings as well.
Animal Writings, yeah. I think Gary
has done some stuff on it.
And hasn't also An Animal Friendly Life dealt with this question as well with the George Will bit?
Yeah, I believe so. So go check out those sources for some comments, some really great comments on that kind of issue.
Absolutely. And I got to tell you must get some stares with the Go Vegan and WO4 sticker on your car.
Yeah, it's not something you see every day.
Yeah. And let's see. So, we got another comment from Sarah Nicole who says, I haven't listened to the new podcast yet. I'm saving it for work.
Another one.
Where time goes so slow. I know. But I wanted to be trashy and defend the cursing. Fuck yeah. I never noticed it to be over the top in any of your shows. Well, we can fucking change that fucking shit. And I have absolutely no fucking no problem with it. It sounds natural, or maybe I need to watch my mouth too. You probably do, Sarah Nicole, because we need to watch our mouths.
Fucking A.
I need to be really, I grew up cursing. I curse now. I curse all the time. And it's really a fucking problem for me sometimes. I've gotten myself into some trouble cursing. I've been called potty mouth.
Potty mouth.
Yes, I have. Potty mouth. One thing I'd be interested in hearing you talk about is how the change of veganism changed your relationship to each other. Were you both omnis when you met? Did you go vegan at the same time? And if not, was that a challenge? I think we'll talk about this next week.
Yeah, so we can spend more time on it.
Absolutely. We will definitely talk about it next week, though. So tune in next week, Sarah Nicole. She has another comment where she says, duh, more cursing, please. So, fuck yeah, we'll curse more. And then we got one other. Jimmy says, I love the new Vegan Freak cereal theme song. I laughed out loud several times. I didn't know animal-loving, tree-hugging, liberal hippies could be so funny. I take umbrage to that.
Yeah, we are not liberal hippies.
I'm an animal lover,
yes.
and I've hugged a tree or two in my day. Usually
like the
stumbling home drunk is when I've hugged trees. Straight edger I am not. Usually when I was stumbling home drunk at one point, I've hugged it. I actually don't get drunk very often anymore.
No, it's been a long time.
It has. And I'm not really a liberal. I'm a leftist. And I think there's a distinction there. I mean, liberals are like leftist light. No offense, liberals. We probably just lost half of our listeners. And hippies. Well, we're not really hippies either.
Definitely not hippies.
No. So, anyway, yeah, okay.
But he's probably joking.
He is probably joking. It's pretty funny. So, I will definitely tune in more often if I can expect that kind of entertainment. Well, we'd like to think you could always expect that kind of entertainment.
Yeah, I know.
By the way, I am a fan of soy products. Does anyone have any thoughts about Silk brand soy milk? Thanks again, Veghead.
Silk rocks.
I think Silk's pretty good. I mean, the problem is that Silk is owned by a company, I think, that has connections to the dairy industry.
Yeah, I know. That's the big problem.
But you can get Silk anywhere in the U.S. pretty much, in any grocery store.
Yeah, you can even get it in the grocery stores where we live, which is amazing. It's about that and 8th Continent sometimes you can get.
8th Continent,
but 8th Continent is not vegan. So.
Not at all.
So for us, we're pretty much stuck with Silk.
And you know, 8th Continent dehomogenizes in milk too.
Yeah,
and in coffee, I mean.
Yeah, and so do a lot of the other ones that come in the aseptic containers. So Silk is one of the ones that we found that works really well in coffee. So that's why we like it so much.
Absolutely. So that's all for the comments from the page itself, and that's about it. So what else we got?
We have to mention that, these comments mentioned Veghead's Vegan Freak serial theme song. So if anyone's still interested in writing a part of a serial novel, you don't even have to write the whole thing. You just write the first part and somebody else writes the next part.
You could even write a couple sentences and send them along.
Yeah.
You don't even have to voicemail it. You can email it and we'll read it. And don't let Veghead's songs go to waste.
I know, it's such an awesome song.
It's a completely kick-ass song. And we can't play it over and over unless we have a reason to play it, which would be an installment in the serial theme novel. So get up off your butt, get those creative juices flowing, and write us a bit for this.
Yeah. And while we're begging for things,
yes,
we have a clip from our friend, the smoking vegan / the vulgar vegan.
Indeed. So I know some of you out there have real problems with the vulgar vegan and the smoking vegan, or whatever you want to call him. For good reason. He's offensive. Mm-hmm. But that's cool if you're into that stuff. And he's writing because he writes the vulgar vegan column on our website at veganfreak.com. And here we're just going to play a little clip of him begging for some stuff. So we're here with the vulgar vegan.
Hi.
And he's here because he's feeling a little lonely.
Yeah, I'm not getting any questions.
You're not getting any play?
Well,
he's not getting any questions. At veganfreak.com, we have a section where you can go and you can write with your relationship questions to the vulgar vegan. Mm-hmm. And have any of you gone and done it? No. Nobody's gone.
You've been posting on the forums, though. I read the forums. I see the questions.
So I
saw that question about the vegan condoms. Didn't send it to me.
Yeah, you know there aren't too many vegan condoms out there. You have to buy the Kondomi or
Saran wrap.
Oh. I heard that doesn't work real well.
It works better than tinfoil, Bob.
That just sounds painful.
It's not. I guess if you don't have fillings, it's
okay.
Not as painful.
We should also mention that we're here with Jenna or Pleather, right?
Yo.
And J Steak.
Hey.
Yeah, J Steak's here. So J Steak, it's a funny name for a vegan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seitan steak.
Seitan steak. J Seitan steak. But yeah, so if you want vegan condoms, you got to use Kondomi or Glide condoms. Yep. So, but anyway, we're here because we want you to send your questions to the vulgar vegan. Mm-hmm. He needs to hear from you. He needs relationship questions, and if you send him a question and we use it on the site. Sorry, the vulgar vegan just made this really funny face, like he's holding in a belt or something.
Funny faces. It was a cough you asked me. He went down the wrong thing.
Anyway, if you send the vulgar vegan a question and we use it on the site, we will send you a Vegan Freak button.
Yeah. I'm looking for raunchy questions, though, so... I mean, it can be anything, but if you've got, like, nasty questions you're afraid to ask, you should ask me.
Yeah, and you can do it in, pseudo-anonymously, get a Hotmail account and just send them to them that way.
It sends through a form, anyway.
Say what?
It sends through a form on the site.
Yeah, that's right. There's a form you can use, so you can just use the form.
On veganfreak.com.
On veganfreak.com. That's right. So go send the vulgar vegan a question, and if we use your question, we'll send you a vegan freak button. And maybe some random junk from around our house.
But no condom eye.
But no condoms. We won't send you a condom. We need those. I ain't giving those away. Hell no.
I'll just stick to tinfoil.
And you can check his latest column over at our website at veganfreak.com. He responds to someone who's into bondage situations and how they can deal with the bondage without actually using leather.
Yep.
So whatever floats your boat.
Yeah, leather substitutions are not just a question for shoes.
That's right, slave.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm surprised you didn't punch me for that. Slave.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Whatever you like to think. No, that's for on South Park. Remember Mr. Slave?
Oh, yeah. Jesus Christ. Okay, so... I think we're done.
I think we should be done because
we better be done.
We better feed the pets now before they go absolutely berserk.
Yep.
And try and jump on our laps.
This is even after we took him for a walk.
I know.
But
okay. He's energized because now it's cool weather.
So don't forget voicemail. You can always call, give us a voicemail. You can send us email. You can leave comment on our site. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear ideas for the show, and we love to get listener feedback on the show. So be in touch. And eat all your veggies, take your B12, and what else?
And thanks for listening once again.
Yeah, thanks for listening. See you next week.